The vast emptiness of space held many secrets, but Trade Master Zurich of the Kalaxian merchant fleet never expected to find one quite like this. His massive frame hunched over the navigation console of his vessel, the Stellar Whisper, as he studied the peculiar energy signature emanating from what appeared to be a derelict station spinning slowly against the backdrop of stars. "Master, the readings are consistent with a fusion reactor in decay," reported his first officer, Nal, her crystalline appendages clicking against the control panel. "But the structure, it's unlike anything in our database." Zurich's 4 eyes narrowed as he processed the information. The station was tiny by Kalaxian standards, barely large enough to serve as a maintenance pod for his own vessel. Yet the energy readings suggested advanced technology, and where there was technology, there was potential profit. "Take us closer," he commanded, his deep voice resonating through the bridge. "Prepare for possible salvage operations." As the Stellar Whisper approached, the true nature of their discovery became clear. Through the observation windows, they could see movement, hundreds of tiny beings scrambling about inside the station's transparent sections. They were bipedal, barely reaching the height of a Kalaxian's knee, and appeared to be fighting a losing battle against their failing systems. "Life signs confirmed," Nal announced, her voice tinged with surprise. "Thousands of them, actually. They appear to be an oxygen-breathing species, but their life support systems are critically damaged." Zurich felt his heart's twist. The merchant's code was clear: profit was secondary to the preservation of sentient life. "Initiate docking procedures," he ordered. "And have medical prepare for possible casualties." The docking process was delicate, given the vast size difference between the vessels. When the airlock finally opened, Zurich had to crouch significantly to peer inside. He was met with the sight of hundreds of these tiny beings, their faces displaying a mix of fear and hope. One of them stepped forward, wearing what appeared to be a uniform adorned with symbols of authority. She held up some sort of device and spoke into it. After a few moments, a crude but understandable translation emerged from it. "I am Station Commander Raina Patel of the Human Scientific Research Station Horizon. We thank you for responding to our distress signal." Zurich was impressed by their ability to cobble together a translation device so quickly. "I am Trade Master Zurich. Your station appears to be in critical condition. We offer assistance." What followed was a flurry of activity that would forever change both species' understanding of each other. The humans, as they called themselves, proved to be remarkably adaptable. Their small size, initially seeming like a disadvantage, allowed them to navigate through the Stellar Whisper's maintenance ducts with ease, mapping out the ship's systems faster than any Kalaxian could have. Commander Patel explained their situation through increasingly sophisticated translations. The Horizon had been caught in an unexpected gravitational anomaly that had damaged their primary systems. They had been broadcasting distress signals for weeks, but their location in this relatively unexplored sector of space had made rescue unlikely. "We had nearly given up hope," Raina admitted, standing on a raised platform to better converse with Zurich. "Our emergency systems were at their limit. Another day, perhaps two. Fortune guided us to each other," Zurich responded, noting how the humans had already begun organizing themselves into efficient working groups aboard his ship. Some were assisting his crew with maintenance tasks, their tiny hands perfect for reaching delicate components, while others were documenting everything they could about Kalaxian technology. What fascinated Zurich most was their resourcefulness. Within hours of coming aboard, the humans had already begun adapting spare parts and materials to create living spaces suited to their size. They transformed and used storage compartments into living quarters, using their remarkable problem-solving abilities to create furniture and facilities from materials that would have otherwise been considered waste. "Your people are quite industrious," he observed to Raina as they watched a group of humans successfully repair a persistent leak in one of the auxiliary cooling systems, a problem that had plagued his engineering team for months. "We've learned to adapt," she replied with what he would later learn was called a smile. "When you're as small as we are, you either learn to be clever or you don't survive long in space." As the first day of their unexpected cooperation drew to a close, Zurich made a decision that would alter the course of both species' histories. He offered to transport the human survivors to their nearest outpost, despite it being well off his planned trade route. "We cannot possibly accept without offering something in return," Reyna insisted, displaying a sense of honor that resonated with Kalaxian values. "Perhaps we can come to an arrangement that benefits us both." Zurich found himself intrigued by the possibility. Already, the humans had proven their worth in ways he hadn't imagined possible. Their ingenuity, their ability to think differently about problems, and their sheer determination to survive against overwhelming odds suggested that this encounter might be more than just a rescue, it could be the beginning of a highly profitable partnership. What neither species realized at that moment was that this chance encounter would spark a chain of events that would reshape the very nature of interstellar commerce and cooperation. The humans' debt of gratitude would soon be repaid in ways that would astonish even the most experienced spacefarers, proving that size was perhaps the least important measure of a species' worth. The debt of innovation. 3 weeks into their journey aboard the Stellar Whisper, the humans had transformed from rescued refugees into invaluable crew members. Trade Master Zurich found himself constantly amazed by their ability to solve problems that had long plagued his vessel, often in ways that seemed absurdly simple in hindsight. The breakthrough came during a routine maintenance cycle when the ship's primary gravimetric stabilizer began to fail. The massive device, essential for maintaining artificial gravity throughout the vessel, had been showing signs of wear for months. Replacing it would have required a lengthy stay at a specialized repair facility, time and resources they couldn't spare. "If I may suggest an alternative approach," Senior Engineer Raj Malhotra spoke up during the crisis meeting, his voice carried through the translation device he now wore on his collar. The humans had refined their translation technology considerably, incorporating Kalaxian linguistic patterns for more natural communication. Zurich gestured for him to continue, having learned to trust these tiny beings' unconventional ideas. "Your stabilizer's core problem isn't the main generator, it's the distribution network," Raj explained, projecting a holographic diagram he and his team had created. "We've noticed that the power fluctuations follow a pattern similar to what we dealt with in our own station systems. The solution isn't to replace the unit, but to reconfigure its distribution pathways." First Officer Null's crystalline appendages flickered with skepticism. "The stabilizer's pathways are integrated into the ship's superstructure. Accessing them would require someone small enough to navigate the maintenance tunnels," Raj finished with what Zurich had come to recognize as a confident smile. "Which is exactly what we have." What followed was an extraordinary demonstration of human ingenuity. Teams of human engineers, led by Raj, accessed parts of the ship that Kalaxians had never been able to reach. They worked in shifts, crawling through narrow conduits with tools they had modified to suit their needs, rewiring and restructuring the stabilizer's power distribution system. Commander Reyna Patel coordinated the effort from the bridge, where she had established a makeshift command center atop one of the sensor arrays. "The beauty of being small," she explained to Zurich, "is that you learn to see the spaces between spaces. What's inaccessible to you is a highway to us." The humans didn't just repair the stabilizer, they improved it. By the time they finished, power efficiency had increased by 30%, and the persistent vibration that had plagued the crew quarters for years had vanished completely. But it wasn't just technical problems the humans excelled at solving. Their presence had begun to change the very culture aboard the Stellar Whisper. The Kalaxian crew, initially wary of the tiny beings scurrying about their feet, had developed an almost protective attitude toward their new companions. Young Kalaxian engineer Vex had taken to carrying several humans on his broad shoulders during inspection rounds, benefiting from their keen eyes and different perspective. "They see things we miss," he reported to Zurich. "And their questions, they make us think differently about our own systems." The humans, for their part, had begun incorporating Kalaxian design principles into their own technology. The observation platforms they built throughout the ship showed clear Kalaxian influence in their structure, while maintaining human practicality and efficiency. One evening, as Zurich reviewed the day's logs, he found himself watching a group of humans teaching some of his crew members what they called chess, a strategy game they had recreated using spare parts from the recycling bay. The Kalaxians were fascinated by the game's complexity, despite its simple components. "It's remarkable," First Officer Null commented, joining him in his observation. "When we first rescued them, I thought we were simply fulfilling our duty under the Merchant's Code. Now they're rescuing us right back," Zurich finished. "In ways we never expected." The humans had insisted on documenting everything they learned about Kalaxian technology, but they shared their own knowledge just as freely. Their understanding of miniaturization and efficient use of space had already sparked several innovations in the ship's storage systems, increasing cargo capacity by nearly 20%. Commander Patel approached their daily planning sessions with a mixture of humility and quiet confidence that Zurich found increasingly admirable. "We're building something here that's bigger than just repaying a debt," she said during one such meeting. "We're proving that different species can not only coexist but thrive together." She was right, of course. The humans' presence had sparked a renaissance of innovation aboard the Stellar Whisper. Problems that had been accepted as unchangeable facts of space travel were being solved through the combination of Kalaxian resources and human creativity. But as their journey continued, none of them realized that their greatest challenge, and opportunity, was yet to come. The innovations they had achieved together were about to become crucial to both species' survival, as the void of space held dangers that neither humans nor Kalaxians had faced before. The debt of gratitude was transforming into something far more valuable, a partnership that would soon be tested in ways none of them could have anticipated. As Zurich watched his transformed ship and crew, he couldn't help but wonder what other surprises these remarkable tiny beings would bring to his life among the stars. Bonds beyond species. The revelation came during what the humans called a movie night, a cultural exchange that had become a weekly tradition aboard the Stellar Whisper. The massive cargo hold had been transformed into a makeshift theater, with humans and Kalaxians gathered together to watch entertainment from both cultures projected onto a makeshift screen. It was during the presentation of a human historical documentary that Trade Master Zurich noticed something peculiar in the background of one scene. "Pause the projection," he commanded, his 4 eyes narrowing as he studied the image. "Those energy signatures in your historical record, they're identical to the ones we've been detecting on the outer edges of our sensor range." Commander Rana Patel's expression shifted from confusion to concern. "Those signatures were recorded near the site where we lost contact with 3 of our deep space research vessels last year. We never discovered what caused their disappearance." First Officer Null's crystalline appendages began pulsing with alarming intensity. "Master, we've lost contact with 4 trading vessels along our planned route, all within the past solar cycle. We assumed it was due to natural phenomena, but if these signatures are connected..." The implications hung heavy in the recycled air of the cargo hold. Whatever had attacked the human vessels might also be responsible for the missing Kalaxian ships, and they were heading straight toward its hunting grounds. The next few days aboard the Stellar Whisper were marked by intense collaboration between the two species. The humans' expertise in data analysis proved invaluable as they helped process years of Kalaxian sensor logs, while the Kalaxians' vast trading networks provided a wealth of information about ship disappearances across the sector. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the station's former head of xenobiology, worked closely with Null to establish a pattern. "Look at this," she said, standing on a specially designed platform that brought her to eye level with the ship's main tactical display. "The attacks aren't random. They're methodical, following trade routes but only striking at specific types of vessels. Those carrying certain rare minerals," Null finished, her crystalline form shimming with realization. "Minerals that both our species use in our most advanced technology." The breakthrough in communication came from an unexpected source. Lieutenant James O'Rourke, a communications specialist who had been studying Kalaxian sound patterns, discovered that the mysterious energy signatures contained embedded frequencies similar to those used in ancient Earth whale songs. "It's not just energy emissions," he explained, his excitement evident despite his professional demeanor. It's communication. Whatever's out there, it's coordinating its attacks using these signals. Zurich found himself increasingly relying on the humans' unique perspectives. Their smaller size had initially seemed like a limitation, but it had become clear that they noticed details his own species often overlooked. Their ability to think laterally, to connect seemingly unrelated pieces of information, had become invaluable. The humans had also begun teaching the Kalaxians about their concept of guerrilla tactics, the idea that being smaller didn't always mean being weaker. Sometimes, Commander Patel explained during a strategy session, being underestimated is your greatest advantage. The bond between the species grew stronger as they worked together to understand the threat they faced. Cultural barriers began to fade as survival became their shared priority. Humans learned to interpret the subtle variations in Kalaxian crystal patterns that indicated emotional states, while the Kalaxians developed a deeper appreciation for human intuition and creativity. During one late cycle, as Zurich observed a group of human children teaching young Kalaxians their game of hide and seek in the cargo hold, he realized how far they'd come from that first rescue. The children played together naturally, the humans using their size to find incredible hiding spots while the Kalaxians used their superior sensory abilities to seek them out. They don't see differences anymore, Commander Patel said, joining him in his observation. They just see friends. But their peaceful cooperation was about to be tested. The ship's long-range sensors began detecting increasingly strong energy signatures matching those from the historical records. Whatever had been hunting both their species was drawing near, and the stellar whisper would soon find itself on the front lines of a conflict none of them had anticipated. The humans and Kalaxians had learned to work together, to trust each other's strengths and compensate for each other's weaknesses. Now they would need to put everything they'd learned to the test. As Zurich watched his crew, both human and Kalaxian, prepare for the challenges ahead, he realized that what had started as a simple rescue had evolved into something far more significant, a partnership that might just change the course of both their species' histories. Little did they know, the true test of their newfound alliance was approaching faster than any of them could have anticipated, and it would take every bit of their combined strength and ingenuity to survive what was coming. The coming storm. The first attack came without warning. The stellar whisper shuddered as an invisible force grabbed hold of the ship, sending both humans and Kalaxians scrambling for stability. Through the main viewport, space itself seemed to ripple and distort. Energy signature matches the historical records. Lieutenant O'Rourke shouted from his modified communication station. But it's stronger than anything we've seen before. Trade Master Zurich's 4 eyes darted between displays as damage reports flooded in. The attacker remained invisible, but its effects were devastatingly real. The ship's power systems began to fluctuate wildly, and the artificial gravity wavered. Then Commander Patel noticed something peculiar. The fluctuations, they're not random. Look at the pattern. She pointed to a holographic display where the power disruptions created an almost rhythmic sequence. It's similar to the communication frequencies we discovered. The revelation sparked an immediate response from Dr. Tanaka. They're not just attacking, they're trying to interface with our systems. Her tiny fingers flew across her adapted control panel. The signal pattern suggests a crystalline-based consciousness. Similar to Null's biostructure, but far more ancient. First Officer Null's crystalline form pulsed with recognition. The Void Singers, she whispered, her translator barely catching the words. They're supposed to be a myth, crystalline entities that once ruled this sector of space, before organic life evolved. The ship rocked again as another wave of energy washed over them. But this time, they were beginning to understand their adversary. The Void Singers weren't simply attacking ships, they were attempting to reclaim territory they considered rightfully theirs, harvesting advanced technology to rebuild their ancient civilization. In the midst of the crisis, it was the human small size that proved to be their greatest asset. While the main systems were under attack, teams of human engineers led by Raj Malhotra navigated through the maintenance tunnels, manually rerouting power and maintaining critical systems that would have been inaccessible to the Kalaxians. "We need to think like them," Commander Patel insisted during an emergency strategy session. "They're used to dealing with large-scale systems and ships. But we can operate on a much smaller scale." The plan that emerged was audacious. Using their combined knowledge of crystalline communication and human adaptation techniques, they began modifying the ship's communication array. The humans' experience with whale songs proved crucial in understanding the Void Singer's language patterns. "We're not trying to fight them," Dr. Tanaka explained as she worked with Null to calibrate the new system. "We're trying to talk to them. To show them that organic and crystalline life can coexist." The work was dangerous. Several times, surges of energy from the Void Singer's attacks nearly overwhelmed the modified systems. But the humans' ability to quickly access and repair damaged components, combined with the Kalaxians' deeper understanding of crystalline technology, kept them going. Young Vex, who had grown especially close to his human colleagues, made a crucial observation. "The Void Singer's energy patterns, they're similar to how we store memories in our crystalline structures. What if they're not just attacking? What if they're trying to understand us?" This insight led to a breakthrough. Instead of merely defending against the attacks, they began using the ship's modified systems to share memories, human and Kalaxian experiences of cooperation, growth, and mutual understanding. The response was immediate and overwhelming. The space around the stellar whisper filled with crystalline structures that seemed to emerge from the void itself, forming patterns of impossible complexity. The ship's translators struggled to process the incoming signals, but the intent became clear: the Void Singers were curious. "They've been alone for so long," Null explained, her own crystalline form resonating with the ancient beings. "They never imagined organic life could achieve what we have. Our cooperation, it's something entirely new to them." As the tension of immediate conflict eased, a new challenge emerged: establishing meaningful communication with entities so ancient and alien that their very concept of existence differed from both human and Kalaxian understanding. But if anyone could bridge that gap, it would be this crew that had already proven how different species could not only coexist but thrive together. The Stellar Whisper had survived its first encounter with the Void Singers, but every member of the crew knew this was just the beginning. The real challenge would be convincing these ancient beings that the future of space belonged not to any single species, but to all who were willing to learn from each other. As Xeric watched his human and Kalaxian crew working together to establish this unprecedented communication, he realized they were on the verge of something far greater than survival. They were about to change the very nature of interstellar relations, proving that the greatest achievements come not from conflict, but from cooperation. Unity's triumph. The crystalline structures surrounding the Stellar Whisper had transformed the void of space into a glittering cathedral of light and shadow. For 3 days, humans and Kalaxians worked tirelessly to expand their communication capabilities with the ancient Void Singers, each breakthrough bringing new understanding, and new challenges. "They're sharing their history with us," Dr. Tanaka announced, her eyes wide as she interpreted the complex data streams. Their civilization didn't just rule this sector, they were its guardians. They protected developing life forms until some catastrophic event forced them into dormancy. The Void Singer's awakening had been triggered by the recent surge in advanced space travel. They had emerged to find their ancient domains crisscrossed by trade routes and colonies, their sleeping places disturbed by ships harvesting the very minerals that composed their consciousness. "No wonder they attacked," Commander Patel mused, standing beside Xeric on the bridge. "Imagine waking up to find your home had been transformed without your knowledge or consent." But it was young Vex who provided the key to true understanding. Working with a team of human engineers, he had discovered that the crystalline technology used in Kalaxian ships was remarkably similar to the Void Singer's own structure. "We didn't just build on their territory," he explained, "we built using pieces of them." This revelation could have spelled disaster, but instead became the foundation for an unprecedented solution. Lieutenant O'Rourke and Null worked together to propose a daring plan. Instead of trying to separate their technologies, they would integrate them more fully, creating a symbiotic relationship between all three species. The Void Singers need specific minerals to maintain their consciousness, Null explained, her form pulsing with excitement. We need those same minerals for our technology. But what if we could work together? Share resources, share knowledge. The humans' experience with environmental preservation on Earth provided crucial insights. We can establish protected zones for the Void Singers, Commander Patel suggested, while developing sustainable harvesting methods in other areas. Our small size allows us to extract minerals with minimal disruption. The proposal was transmitted to the Void Singers through their newly established communication network. The response came in a cascade of crystalline harmonies that filled the ship with shimmering light. They were willing to try. What followed was a transformation more profound than anyone had imagined. The Void Singers began sharing their ancient knowledge of space and energy manipulation. In return, they learned from the humans about adaptation and creativity, and from the Kalaxians about the evolution of crystalline technology. Raj Malhotra led a team that developed new mining techniques, using human precision and Void Singer guidance to extract needed minerals without disturbing their consciousness networks. The Kalaxians provided the technological framework to make it all possible, their trading networks ensuring fair distribution of resources. The Stellar Whisper became the center of this revolutionary cooperation. Its hybrid crew demonstrated daily how different species could work together, combining their unique strengths to overcome seemingly impossible challenges. The ship's modification continued, incorporating Void Singer crystalline technology in ways that respected both their consciousness and the crew's needs. Children played a special role in cementing these bonds. Human children's natural curiosity and acceptance helped the Void Singers understand organic life in new ways, while young Kalaxians served as bridges between the physical and crystalline realms. Together, they created new games that transcended species boundaries, their laughter and joy proving that understanding could cross any divide. Trade Master Zurich stood on his bridge, watching as the first joint harvesting operation began. Human teams in specially designed suits worked with Void Singer guidance to carefully extract minerals, while Kalaxian ships provided support and transport. What had begun as a rescue mission had evolved into something that would reshape the galaxy. "We've all changed," Commander Patel observed, standing at his side. The humans found a new home among the stars. The Kalaxians discovered the value of thinking small. And the Void Singers learned they don't have to be alone anymore. The agreement they forged became known as the Trinity Accord, establishing protected spaces for Void Singer consciousness while ensuring sustainable resource use for organic civilizations. The Stellar Whisper's crew became the model for a new kind of space exploration, where differences were seen not as barriers but as opportunities for growth. As news of their success spread, other ships and stations began adopting their methods. Mixed crews became common, with humans' small size and adaptability complementing Kalaxian strength and technology, all guided by Void Singer wisdom. The galaxy was transforming, one connection at a time. Perhaps this is what space travel was always meant to be, Zurich reflected, watching a group of human children teaching young Kalaxians to dance while crystalline lights pulsed in harmony around them. Not just exploring new frontiers, but building bridges between those who seem most different from each other. The debt that began with a simple rescue had been repaid 1,000 times over, not through obligation, but through the bonds of genuine friendship and understanding. In the end, it wasn't just humanity proving their worth, it was all species learning that true strength lies not in dominance, but in the willingness to reach across the void and connect with others, no matter how different they might seem. The stars shone brighter that day, as if celebrating a new chapter in the galaxy's history. A chapter written not in conquest or conflict, but in cooperation, proving that the greatest adventures come not from facing the unknown alone, but from facing it together.